Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 day time frame for Bitcoin, because right now you can see that we are getting close to that 0.5 level once again, sitting at 62.6K. In fact, earlier today, we already wicked down to that 0.5 level, but got a strong bounce off of there. And right now we are still continuing that momentum to the downside. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the most important levels that you need to pay attention to for Bitcoin right now in order to determine what is going to happen next. So of course, we do have this important level of support, but in terms of resistance to the upside, we also have this Fibonacci golden pocket right here, which is sitting between 64.8K and 65.5K. So this is going to be a critical level of resistance for Bitcoin, where in the case that you see Bitcoin breaking through that Fibonacci golden pocket, likely we are seeing more bullish momentum after that. However, this is going to act as a strong level of resistance. So for example, after we bounced from the 0.5 level this first time, we already got a strong rejection from that golden pocket once again. So therefore, it is important to pay attention to this level of resistance. And in terms of the support and resistance for Bitcoin on this daily time frame, I would say pay attention to this level of resistance as well, sitting from 65,000 US dollars all the way up to 66,000 US dollars. However, to me, this looks like we already got a strong rejection from that level of resistance. So therefore, you should also be paying attention to this level of support to the downside, sitting between 62.4K all the way down to 60,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. And if you watched yesterday's video, you know that I warned about this big level of support in the case that you are shorting. And of course, right here, you can see that we just barely touched this level of support and then got a strong bounce off of there. So I do think that was a good warning signal. But I was also talking about the RSI momentum indicator, because at the time we were in oversold territory right here. I said typically what you see is the RSI needing to reset from oversold territory back around that 50 level. And of course, later that day, that is exactly what we saw. We went to about the 47, 48 level. So that RSI has been reset. And that also corresponded to this level of resistance once again. So the setup for the rejection was there because the RSI was already fully reset at that point. So what can we learn from the RSI right now? Well, first of all, you can see that we are trading below the 50 level. So we are not experiencing neutral momentum. In fact, the RSI is currently, as I'm recording this, moving down, and therefore the Bitcoin price is technically experiencing bearish momentum right now, which is of course also reflected in the charts. However, it isn't guaranteed to move in oversold territory once again. Personally, what I'm looking out for in the charts right now on this higher time frame is actually to see if this big level of support all the way down to 60K is actually going to hold. Because in the past, the 60K level acted as a big level of support that we got strong bounces from. So therefore, if this does not hold, then it would really indicate that more bearish momentum is coming after that. But for now, you don't have to worry about this level of support below it. We would first have to break this big level of support sitting between 62.4K all the way down to 60,000 US dollars. Checking back in with this descending channel on the daily time frame. Of course, recently we saw another rejection from the top of the descending channel. So again, this descending channel has been massively successful on the channel here. In the case that you are new to the channel here, I called this low at about 53,000 US dollars, but we actually held the support at 55,000 US dollars. So we longed this move to the upside. Again, right here, we flipped bearish whenever Bitcoin traded below $70,000 back inside this range. And even before that, we used it to snipe this low right here and long this move to the upside, because we traded below the descending channel, even with confirmed candle closes. But then the next day, we actually traded back inside the range once again. And therefore, I flipped bullish, saying I am going to be bullish so long as we hold this as a level of support. And of course, after that, we saw this massive pump to the upside once again. So are we now going to see another massive dump to the downside? Or are we going to see a reversal earlier? For now, I'm just going to pay attention to what happens around that 60K level to see if that is actually going to hold, because so long as that holds, I think it is possible to get a bounce from there. And I think it is a similar situation to this example right here a couple of days ago, where I said, guys, if we lose this 65K level, more bearish momentum is coming after that. And of course, after we lost that level of support, then we got this massive dump to the downside right here. So again, I would say the same thing for 60K. So long as we hold it as a level of support, I think we can get a bounce from it. But if we actually lose 60K as a level of support, then I think it is very likely that we are going much lower for the Bitcoin price after that. For example, down to this level right here. But I don't really want to speculate on any of this down here, or potentially even below the descending channel, until we actually lose that 60K level. And then I will start talking about the support levels that are below 60K and how likely I think it is that we are going to reach those levels. So now moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on the 1 week time frame, right here you can see that there is still quite a bit of liquidity left to the downside after we got this big wick down to these levels and people longed out of here. So there's liquidity as low as about 62,000 US dollars. So potentially the Bitcoin price can still get attracted to this. However, there is also quite a bit of liquidity to the upside at this point. For example, right here at 65.7K, 67,000 US dollars, and then most of the liquidity on this time frame is actually sitting at 70.4K for the Bitcoin price. Although I would say that in the short term, I am not really considering this 70.4K level, because it means that we would have to break out of the top of this descending channel. And as you guys know at this point, because I also mentioned it earlier in this video, we have seen many potential breakouts where a bunch of people flip extremely bullish at these exact highs right here. And so far, my strategy of being conservative and actually saying I'm going to wait for actual confirmation of this breakout has been very successful in finding those shorting opportunities and also just getting out of a bunch of spot positions right at these highs and then buying back in on lower prices. Now, lastly, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. Yesterday, we saw a net inflow of about $50 million, which is nothing major for these Bitcoin ETFs because typically they buy over $120 million every single weekday. Last couple of days, we have pretty much seen neutral inflows from these Bitcoin ETFs. However, I will continue to keep tracking this every single weekday because what I've seen from these Bitcoin ETFs so far is that when they are extremely bullish, typically they are pushing up the Bitcoin price. Like for example, right here, you saw massive inflows into these ETFs. And actually in this downtrend, we had massive outflows from the ETFs. So they are having an impact on the Bitcoin price. And therefore it is important to pay attention to this and what is going on here in terms of the trend. Even though the actual day by day inflows don't make a huge difference, the trend is actually what matters. And so far we are basically just seeing neutral inflows in the last couple of days. So if you want to stay up to date with the crypto markets, then make sure to subscribe to my channel with notifications on. I'm really trying to reach 4,000 subscribers and we are getting pretty close. So please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. This has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.